Good afternoon, Year 4, and welcome to the next science lesson. It's Mrs. Collins here. Are you ready to become a Hucklow scientist? Remember, this term we are looking at the question, what do you know about life on Earth? And you've done some fantastic learning so far. We're really impressed with the activities you've done on Purple Mash, in your homework packs, and the pictures that you've sent via email. Really proud of the work that you've done. Great work. Can you remember what you learned last lesson and the lesson before? Maybe these pictures will help. We learned about something called classification. Can you remember what that means? Classification is when we group living things based on their features. We talked about how we can group animals into vertebrates and invertebrates, animals with a backbone and animals without a backbone. We then talked about how we can organise invertebrates and vertebrates into even smaller categories, and how we can use classification keys and webs to group and organise animals based on certain features such as their diet, what they look like, or their habitat. We've done some great learning so far. Before we get started, I've got a question to ask you. What do all living things need to survive? Got a picture of two living things here on the board, a plant and an animal. Very different, but they both need the same things to survive. I wonder if you can jot these things down on a piece of paper. There are 5 main things that we're going to talk about. What do you think then? What do all living things need to survive? Let's have a look. They all need water. They all need air to survive. Plants breathe in air just like animals do. They all need room to grow. If they're squashed and they don't have enough space, they might die. They need room to reproduce, to make more of their own kind, or they would die out. And of course they need food. This goes the same for humans too. Living things can get all of these things from where they live, where they choose to live. Which leads me on to our new learning topic today. We're going to be learning about living things and their habitats. Do you know what a habitat is? A habitat is a home for a living thing. Let's have a look at some examples. So we've got habitats with water, such as under the sea. We've got mountain area habitats, woodland and forest habitat, another water area, a lake or dam habitat, desert, dryland habitat. Here are some examples of where some creatures choose to live. I've got a video clip to show you now with a bit more explanation on this. So pause my lesson video, go back to the class page on the blog, and you'll see the video link for YouTube. Watch that clip, and when you've finished, come back to continue the lesson. See you in 5. Welcome back, Year 4. Did you watch the video clip? I hope that gave you more of an insight as to what habitats are and the type of animals that might live in which habitat. So, just to summarise, a habitat provides an animal with 2 important things. It gives it food and shelter. It's a safe place for it to reproduce, and it's ideally protected. Here's a picture, cartoony picture, of a frog in its habitat. A frog often lives in a pond area, in a water area. It chooses this place to live because it has food to eat, water to spawn, and damp air so that it doesn't dry out. There are different types of habitats. You've probably seen some of them in your local area. We've got microhabitats, which are really small spaces where animals live, and we've got macrohabitats, which are the larger named habitats that we've already spoken about. Have a little think about your local area, even just stepping outside your house if you've got a garden or a woodland or a park nearby. What are the small habitats where, say, an insect might live? And then think about further afield in the wider community. Where are the larger habitats where, say, sea life might live? Can you think of any? Well, some microhabitats that I thought of, some smaller ones, were places like under a leaf, in a bush, in a stone wall, in a pond, and under a stone. You often find creatures living in these small habitats. The bigger spaced habitats include places like the jungle, desert land, the sea or ocean, the beach, or near mountains or on mountains. So there's lots of different habitats where animals choose to live. Let's have a look at an example of an animal. Very cute one, I must say. Do you know what this animal is called? What kind of animal is it? Where do you think it lives? What's its habitat and why is it suited to living there? Okay, this animal is called a hedgehog. I wonder if you've ever seen one. It's actually a mammal and it's a carnivore, so it eats other animals. Where's its habitat? Well, hedgehogs usually live in places like woodland, grassland and meadows. Why do you think it's suited to this place? Why does a hedgehog choose to live here? It doesn't choose to live on the beach, or in the sea, or in the desert. Why does it choose these places? Well, it can find lots to eat in these places that it likes to munch on, such as small mice, snails, worms, beetles, and even caterpillars. And it can sleep in the day protected by its spikes, and it can camouflage under things, such as leaves, twigs from trees, maybe under the soil, and other little hiding places that a woodland has. And you can see from the picture here that this little hedgehog is very happy as it walks through the leaves in the damp woodland area looking for something tasty to eat. I wonder what it will find. What about this animal? What's it called? Do you know what kind of animal it is? Where's its habitat? And why is it suited to its habitat? This animal is called a gecko, and it's a reptile. It often lives in places like rainforests, mountain areas and deserts. Why do you think it's suited to these places? Well, it can find lots to eat there, such as insects, fruit, flowers and nectar. It likes to climb branches and it even lays its eggs in leaves and on bark. And we learnt from our reading challenge a few weeks ago that the gecko is really clever in the way that it camouflages itself to its surroundings to protect itself from any predators. Here we've got a picture of a habitat. What can you see? Have a few minutes really zooming in and having a look at the living things. What plants can you see? What animals can you see? Today in your activity, you're going to get a picture similar to this of a different type of habitat, and I'm going to ask you some questions on it. Let's have a look at this one together to model an example. So the first question says, where is this habitat? So where is this place? That's right, it's a woodland area. You can see either a small stream here coming through. Got lots of trees and plants and animals that you would find in a woodland area. So for this question, I'm going to answer it by saying a woodland area. Full stop. What living things live here? Let's have a look back. We've got lots of living things here. I can see this big bird here, which looks like a kestrel. We've got butterflies flying around. There's blackberries, bluebells, an acorn tree. I can see, I don't know if you've spotted it, but right over here in the top of the tree, we've got an owl there. I can see a wren. I can see what looks like a pussy willow tree with its hanging branch. Mushrooms. Lots of creatures hiding in this picture. I can see a beetle. And they all live in the same habitat. So I'll write some of those names in there. And at this point, when you're doing your activity, you might want to research some of the animals by looking on the internet or asking an adult. These are some of the living things that I saw. There's an acorn tree. I think it was a stag beetle. Mushrooms, wild mushrooms. Okay, why is this habitat suitable for them? So if you think about the wren, say this little bird here, why is a woodland area suitable for a wren? Think about what a little bird like a wren likes to do. Well, there's plenty of free space to fly for the animal to roam and fly. Lots of plants and berries to eat. And there is water nearby to drink from. How do they source their food here? So I'm going to go to the kestrel here, which is a bigger bird. What do you think a kestrel eats? It's quite high up on the food chain. It's quite a big bird that is often a predator. So a kestrel would eat things like berries and worms, like smaller birds, but it would also eat smaller birds and mice. Okay, so that's given you an example of how to do your activity. Your sheet looks like this. Have a look at it in your pack. Once you've answered the questions, see if you can make a food chain from the picture. If you need any help, you can email me at our Year 4 email address. In these boxes here